This is the fifth edition of the TravTalk ThinkTank, and it's all about resilience, it's all about rebuilding demand, and it's all about recreating demand after the West Asia or the Middle East crisis. I think with this current crisis, it's all about how quickly we adapt and how quickly we respond to it. The crisis is impacting the markets, fuel prices, pricing, sentiment, connectivity, and each different region is sort of reacting a little bit differently. The topic to talk to all of you today is what's happening in the tier 2, tier 3 markets, or rather, what's happening beyond Delhi and Mumbai. So the real question is that is the demand shrinking? Is it shifting? Is behavior shifting? Is psychology shifting? Are the demands shifting? And really, how, as a community of tour operators and travel agents, we can respond to this demand. So I'll do a quick ground reality check from each of you. And so just give me the ground reality and what you're hearing from the ground and what your customers are telling you. So we'll start with Mr. Mahinder Vakharia. So panic, pause, shift. So what are you seeing in the market? What is your little crystal ball tell you for the future as well?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Nikhil. The way we have seen in the last 1 month and the way things have started fanning out is that the clients who had booked their appointments for Schengen visa, initially when the peak of the first 2 weeks of March, they were hesitant whether they should not, what should they do, cancel, whatever. But since they had taken the appointment, they have continued to go with the appointment with the hope and thinking that eventually things will cool down and they'll be able to travel. Yes, we have helped most of them change their flights, which were predominantly the Gulf carriers out of Ahmedabad over Dubai, Etihad, or Qatar, and shift them out of flights from Bombay and Delhi. So, of course, it's come at a cost, but by and large, about I would say 80% of them who had planned to travel are still continuing with that plan of travel to Europe and the Shenzhen appointment. That's as far as the West is concerned. But interestingly, a lot of them have turned to look at traveling within India, domestic, which is doing very good responses coming through. Fortunately, at this moment of time, Chardham Yatra by helicopter and Kailash Mansarovar is also on, and people have looked at that as an alternate option as well. And Asian countries have started doing very well again. Although the summer vacation traditionally from Gujarat is long haul, but we're still seeing a good traction coming up for the short haul destinations as well.
Great, thank you. So, quick question, Mr. Vakharia. You said that Schengen is sort of there and thereabouts there, 80% there. Let's say India sends a couple of 100,000 people, couple of lakh people every month to the Middle East. Where are these people going? Are they going to the southeast? Are they shifting, or are they just not? Or it's only domestic at the moment, or it's on pause? What is your feeling?
So there are a lot of them who also taken a pause. For them who are not bound by the school holidays because of the children, they have said, okay, we'll give it a pause for a moment. We'll wait for 1 month, maybe 2 months, and then we'll plan the holiday which we have kept on hold at the moment. Dubai more so. Besides holiday, there are a lot of VFR that happen. There are a lot of families who have family and friends in Dubai. So that traffic definitely is not happening at the moment. But people have taken a pause, some of them for sure. They are looking at changing the destination. Some of them have already changed from Europe. They've shifted to Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and of course, Japan is through the roof.
Okay. Very good. Okay, let me get someone in as well. Mr. Soni, from your beautiful tie hat and as a East India expert as well, and talking about it, what are you hearing across your sub agents, your network of agents? What are they saying in terms of the ground reality? There's this fuel surcharges. There's expected cash shortages. So what are you hearing from the ground?
First of all, thank you very much for having me here. And the ground reality here, I cannot even say that they are mixed sentiment of the agent fraternity. They're definitely a fear sentiment and a very, move down sentiment for the fraternity right now, not only because of the cancellations, because of the Gulf carriers being cancelled and stuff like that. It's about their future, which is at a bloom right. there is no certainty how long. This question is, if there is a certainty that one knows it is 1 month or 2 months, people can plan accordingly or rethink, revise accordingly. But current scenario, as we all discuss, this geopolitical issue has gone far beyond your one's thought. It's become an ego issue. So right now, the despair of when we restart is killing people. Definitely, there is business to Europe from here. Uh, we do have challenges on the inventory because prior prior to this recovery, and each and every inventory was through Gulf carriers from here. Now, thankfully, with Indigo starting few operations into Europe, that is helping a bit to convert passengers from the Gulf carriers to back to the direct routes. But certainly the entire mood of the travel fraternity is low. The entire the future is looking very bleak from now, and
Thank you.
as correctly said by people that we do not know when this would end.
Okay, thank you, sir, and thank you for being so candid and honest. Let me get Sumit in here. Mr. Mittal, are you here? Yes. So, Sumit, tell me, I mean, someone who sells luxury, who sells sort of high end, pricing is never a real risk for these people, right? They can pay 10,000 rupees extra to fly to Europe. It's not matter. So, how is their sentiment? What are they seeing on sort of on the top end luxury market?
Absolutely, Nikhil. I think luxury, and we primarily cater to the premium and the luxury segment. So certainly budgets are not a big concern, but yes, safety and feasibility is. So it's not that they are not willing to travel. We've had our customers coming back to us to discuss of what options do they have in at these times, whether they should travel or whether they should look for an alternate destination. How safe is Europe? So, in fact, if I may say, like you said, whether the demand has dipped, it has dipped. That goes without doubt. But there has been more of a shift. I mean, like I said, we are also suggesting and looking at alternate destinations for people who rely on us every time they choose a destination. So for Europe, like Manavji said, the fares have definitely been affected. The business class fares have almost doubled. The inventory is not there. But yes, for people who are planning down in June, July, August, which is a peak season from north, we've seen clients booking Etihad and Qatar and Emirates with us because of the good fares, and on the pretext that yes, they want to keep planning, they want to block the dates, and they then want to wait. And for any bookings which are related to hotels and other services, either we look into refundable, completely refundable bookings, and till maybe a week prior to the travel, and then they can decide whether they would like to go ahead or shelve the travel at completely. So we've done those. We've in fact in last 2 weeks we've done bookings for Eastern Europe. We've done bookings for UK along with the complete package, not just the flight tickets. So that's been a good sign, and we're lucky to be in this country where people also definitely forget things very easily, and the fear factor is not that high probably as to what the Western countries have. We feel
Sumit,
that yes.
let me ask you. I just gonna get back to you on one question. You said there's been a demand dip. Now, has there been a demand dip or has there been a conversion dip?
See,
So,
demand dip, I would say the conversion dip, I won't say. Yes, for the first 2 to 3 weeks of after the turmoil, there was a kind of silence and only discussions happening. Like Mahendraji said, 2 3 weeks, people just looked back and decided whether what's going to happen next, and nobody knew how long this going to was going to last. Everybody was thinking maybe 1 week, 2 weeks, it should get over. But now, like the way things are moving, it doesn't seem to get off easily. People are now deciding accordingly, and they are not looking obviously at the West Asian destinations for now. So, like whoever wants to travel to West Asia is, short haul destination is looking for the South Asian or the Far East destinations. And there are some of the destinations which everybody had there on their cards, but they had not decided to go right now. And they're also, inquiring about places like Philippines and the other parts of Indonesia and Malaysia. So that's a good sign. For us, we based in Chandigarh, we only have one international or two international flights, that is to the UAE, both Abu Dhabi and Dubai. So yes, that business for us was, I think, the most promising business always because of the weekend outings with direct flights, the shopping, trips, as well as the VFR. So that is a
Okay.
demand dip, which I would say, which alternately they're not looking to travel for now, or maybe now people are looking at a near dates to decide where they would like to travel rather than plan it in advance. So that's what we are seeing with us.
Thanks, Amit. So let me bring Sriharan here in here a little bit. Sriharan, should you be worried? Should travelers be worried, or is this perception? Obviously Middle East travel is limited, but being worried about gas shortages, etc. Is the fear founded? Is the fear relevant, or it's a media perception and people should be traveling to the Southeast, to Europe, America as much as they want at the moment?
Perfect. I think after COVID, after Corona, I think we as agents are very happy whenever there is a crisis. I'll tell you what
Okay.
the reason is. When there is no crisis, passenger can go online, do anything what they want. But whenever there is a crisis, they'll turn towards the travel agent. And I believe all of us have been seeing that friends calling who haven't called us for a long time, all of a sudden calling and saying, "I booked this flight. I don't know how to get the refunds. Can you help me out?" And all of us, all travel agents would have experienced one or two for sure, even though we haven't done their tickets or packages. But I think anytime during the crisis, it is the travel agents who will be looked upon for. And I think this is a situation that all of us have to take it in a positive way, because we are almost like a navigator. We are in a place to tell passenger where to go, where not to go, how to go. Okay, where all our expertise come into place. To give you few insights of what we've been doing. Luckily, it's been a year since our Sydney office is open, and we've been doing our movement towards our towards Australia, New Zealand directly through our office. And luckily, we are having a joint marketing campaign with one of the state tourism boards of Australia, and it hit viral because of the war. It hit viral, and you won't believe, within 4 days we had 27,500 inquiries for the particular package alone. So I'll tell you, I travel is beyond. It's not for seeing a new place anymore. It's for the social media. It's become like a prestige now. I'll tell you the queries that even one of my HNI client, they own hospitals here. They're saying, we have so many problems already with our hospitals, but my kid is studying and she says her friend is traveling to South Africa and you are not doing anything. You told me we'll travel to Europe, nothing is done yet, because they were doubtful if they would go or not. So today travel is moved from just seeing places. It's become a peer pressure for all the parents, all the couples who are getting married, because we are into the destination wedding market also, and we do big numbers. I think Nikhil also is aware of our events, what we do across the globe. What happened is, the new client who comes to us would actually mark and say, we heard that this client did this, we would need to do something bigger than this, every time. In fact, when they're choosing the same destination, that happens. In fact, during Abu Dhabi, there was a earlier family which did a wedding in Abu Dhabi. They came to me and said, we need to do it in Emirates Palace. We have to do a buyout of Warner Brothers Studio. So I think this is growing day by day. And as travel agents, I think we have to make use of this situation properly and guide them to the right destination. See, nothing is in our hands. I'll give you another. What happened recently when Dubai was shot for the first ever time, and there was so much of commotion going on. I was in Bali. And I was just, we are having a Reiki, and we were just talking to my client saying, see how lucky we are. There is so much of problem. And I suggested you a good place in Bali. While we were talking, another half an hour, we had an earthquake in Bali while we are sitting in the hotel. See, I'll tell you, nothing is in our hands today. See, just crying over the issues, what's happening across the globe, definitely it's not in our control. But what is in our control is to guide the passengers to a destination that is completely free of all these things. When we talk about, Far East or I see Japan, South Korea. In fact, this 10th and 11th of April, We are partnering with the South Korea Tourism Board doing a mall promotion. So
So
I
really
think.
good perspective, Sriran. Sorry, I'm
Hmm,
going to cut you there, but really good
hmm,
perspective. Be
hmm,
positive. Take this as an opportunity because really, and you're right. Like some people you've never spoken to in months will call you up and say, "I want to do my hair." So really good perspective. Thank
hmm.
you, Sharon. So let me, I've got this question for several times, and let me bring in Mr. Vakharia a little bit for a second here. You, sir, your team mans the phones. What is stopping conversion today? Because the West India summer holiday season is what is on us from next week, right? So
Yep.
peak summer holiday season is here. April, May, June. They want to travel. So what's stopping that conversion at the moment, and how are you addressing that gap, rather?
So I had put an article sometime back, and the title I had kept it was geopolitical situation does not impact travel. It doesn't stop it, but it reshapes it. And that's exactly what we are doing at our end. Those clients, see, the client wants to travel, period. Yes, he had a destination A in his mind when he initially started discussing the task, but keeping in mind the situation, because today, after everything, like Sheeran said, anxiety is the most important thing. Nobody wants to go in a situation where you could be impacted with any kind of non-operational issues. So there we guide them, we tell them that, look, let's look at an alternate destination at this time, because the families with children, they had that dream that they want to go on a holiday, summer holiday, school holidays, they want to travel. So we have shifted them to other destinations, alternate destinations, and given them the opportunity. And I'm very happy to share that, yes, we have had a dip in the business, no doubts about it, but it's not completely negative where we are just sitting idle and not doing anything. No, we are still occupied. Work is happening, bookings are happening. So that's a good and
So,
positive sign.
so Mr. Vakharia, let me ask you. I mean, I always say the group market, the West India group market, GIT series business is a big trend setter. Right. So all the series that were booked for Middle East in the summer months, in the school holidays months, in the theme parks, etc., are they shifting to some other destination or are they just on pause at the moment? What is your on the ground?
Um, from a group perspective, because we don't do group tours, we don't have much say on it. But yes, I know of families who are looking at traveling to, say, Abu Dhabi and Yas Island, who have shifted into Singapore and Disney groups, for example, because it's going to be giving the kids a similar kind of experience, and still being able to go on a holiday with the children and the family and come back. So something like that.
Got it. Okay. Um, Manav, let me sort of bring you in a little bit here. I know you work very closely with all the airlines in your role as TIE, and I know you talk to them. I've always said air prices are sticky on the way down. They fuel surcharges, they add prices very high. Will the prices come down? When the crisis comes down, will it stay high? After COVID, the prices never came down, right? Or, are there any deeper issues also that are impacting airline pricing right now as a mode? Or is this another reset moment for prices to say, hey, we're going to reset prices and they're going to be high forever? What can the agent and consumer expect?
Well, to add with what we are discussing about, our challenge right now is the inventory. Our challenge is not selling. The agent and the travelers both are ready to travel. Okay, we are having a war at West Asia, but then rest of the world is open. And our Indian outbound market, as I said, was hugely controlled by the Gulf carriers. So, which is why the other carriers, European carriers or Southeast Asian carriers or West Asian carriers, have surged their prices because of the immense demand. So, there is a big mismatch between demand and supply right now. That because of that, the prices have surged. Oil, definitely, energy, oil will definitely add on to the surcharge. And I don't see it coming down because as a businessman, once I raise my profits, I don't like to bring it down. So to be very honest, airline is also into business and airline wants to, it's a very harsh word, but airline would want to reap in as much profit as they can in this situation. And at the same time, looking at their future scenarios, once they've got the entire market used to selling, say, for $1,000 for some certain sectors or beyond that, they would like to keep that as a benchmark and probably on a lean period bring it down, but on a peak season time they'll see. So in coming years or maybe by next year, I see Europe selling about $1,500 of 1,500 euros for a up and down ticket, and US market selling about $2,000 so up and down ticket, because they would have tasted that profit. They would have seen that the entire India
Exactly.
outbound market has adopted to that fare structure, and they would like to reap in the profits from there.
So the
Contrary,
prices
what
are here to stay. They're not going to come
absolutely,
down. They're here to stay.
absolutely,
Thank you.
absolutely. Everybody is into business and they are here to stay.
Perfect. Sharon, let me bring you in a little bit here and let me ask you. I think you were spoke about the positivity in the topic with here. Is that do you think that this is going to be a short-term disruption and once there's a ceasefire or normalization, the demand will go back to normal? Or do you think there is going to be a behavioral shift that when we book a travel, Indians are gonna look at geopolitical risk, they're gonna look at political. So do you think this is gonna be a long-term behavioral shift or just a short-term, once over, forgotten, move on?
See, one thing about traveling, okay, before 15 years you take, no, as you rightly said, it's GIT, the group departures. That's the way that you travel to Europe, to America, to Australia, New Zealand. That's the only way. We have hardly FITs, only the HNIs would travel. You will, or few honeymooners will take. But today the trend is changed. We have so many destinations in our catalog. We can curate a number of itineraries in a single country today. So what I would say is definitely passenger is more aware that there are number of options available now. He's not going to stick on to few options that we earlier had. He's going to come and ask us. It's up to the agent to be aware of these things. Now we have to be because now we are in the era of AI. We are in the era of artificial intelligence. Passengers come to us. Earlier they used to come to us with destination. Now they come to us with the itinerary. They say day one I want to do this, day two I want to do this. They want to be more informed, and unfortunately they make their own mistakes, which is our profits again. So I think definitely we as travel agents should have more information about other destinations, other products, so that we can survive. I tell you again, this shift is going to make few travel agents richer, few travel agents again close their shops. But I believe it's a high time we need to understand there is a shift that's happening. Because see why I wish to talk positive about it is I see this is my ninth media interaction in the last 10 days alone, only of this entire war issue. The only thing is I strongly believe if we speak positive about it and try to tell people, yes, there are people traveling, I think this would make a lot of difference with the people. The confidence should come from us. If we start saying no, it's not, because we might be only selling Europe or Dubai without selling this. So for us, we think the entire world is dark, just like when we close our eyes. So I think this is a situation that travel agents must be aware of it. Try to focus on other destinations as well. I think this is definitely going to be one of the crucial time for travel agents, because war, I think since last June, we've been having these issues, because when my mice is going
Yep.
to Azerbaijan, Turkey, the same questions came, even for a wedding that shifted from Turkey to Australia. So, they were saying, is the war going to affect? So last 1 year, I'm facing this. Is the war going to affect our travel? I think this is definitely going to stay for a longer time, but I think we need to adapt to all this and then do our business.
Thank you. So let me bring Sumit here, Mr. Mittal. Quick one from you as well is, you know, to the travel agent or tour operator sort of in a small town, Ludhiana, if it's Chandigarh, wherever it is in India, they're looking at it and they're saying doom and gloom, conversion nahi ho raha, ye nahi ho raha. What would be your advice to them? Would it be stick, product diversify, stick to conversions, continue your marketing? What would you tell them to do and to make sure this summer is as big for them as what probably last year was?
Nikhil, I think it's just to keep it simple. Unlike COVID, we are not in a survival mode where everything is shut, right? It's only partial shutdown of one region. So it's more, like we all discussing it. We are in the what I call the pivoting mode. There are so many alternate destinations, so many unexplored destinations. Most of the people have not traveled enough right now. So just a closure of one particular region should not affect much of our business, of our thought process as well. So I would say, to these travel agents, gear up, rather than client coming to you and telling you what to do, which has been the case with most of the agencies in our industry. We need to take the lead. We need to understand our client. We need to give them options and give them that confidence, that there is enough to do in what your holiday, the kind of holiday you want, and we are there to make that experience better and more memorable. And also, very good time where people who were trying their hands on their own to come to you because of that security and because of that responsibility that they will pass on to the agent when it comes to any cancellations or changes. So this is a very good time to look into that segment, look into the market, and we are dealing both in outbound and domestic market. And I am very happy always to do domestic tourism because I feel we get better margins in that, and we are in better control of the itinerary and our bookings. And I'm sure this upcoming season or this time we'll see that big surge, like Mahendraji said. We've already yesterday only we confirmed a good Char Dham a helicopter package, and so we are focusing more on, and pilgrimage anyway increases when there is turmoil, and we
No,
we have enough of those in India, though it's packed and crowded. But people are ready to shell out any amount of money to plan that as well. So what I'm coming to is that you have immense opportunities. You have enough products and itineraries and destinations lying down in the market for us to explore and experience. See, we Japan has been doing really well, though it's a pain for us every time we get a Japan booking because of the conversions for us was very low till a couple of years back. But we've managed that. We've learned that market. Korea, Philippines, these are new markets for us, and we've seen the demand. We now offering it to our clients whom we were never used to even offer because they never asked for it. So I think it's a good time to build up your
so Sumit,
knowledge.
let me step on one thing you said, which is very interesting. That I don't. A lot of people have told me contradictory information earlier. You said domestic can be higher profit margins than outbound at a time. So a lot of tour operators are looking at domestic now, saying Goa kar do, Northeast kar do. What segment is you're saying is high profit margins? Because traditionally it's not been. Traditionally it's been less profit
I don't
margins and
know. I
people
don't know. I'm happy people and the travel fraternity thinks like that. It hasn't worked like that for me.
okay.
I feel because for domestic tourism, people are just looking at Goa or any of the destination as hotel bookings. When you are
Okay.
curating an itinerary, when you are doing something where you need to put down your knowledge and effort, which most of the travel agencies in our region do not do. They're totally reliant on another B2B player. They just send, we need a Kerala package for 6 nights, just send us a quote. That doesn't work. So you need to really know the locations, your client, you need to really, even your client needs to have that confidence that you have that knowledge with you. That is where the margins come in. Trust you me, I'm more than happy selling a good 10-day domestic itinerary than a Euro package because its closure is in
But
within 24 hours.
I think
You
very
don't need
interesting
to work
point.
on the visas.
I think very interesting point you raised because we often get a package of Kerala 6 days. We just say what the peak to be. We don't invest as much money in training and upskilling in Kerala packages as we do in Australia packages, for example, or Dubai packages, for example. So good. So
So
there's
Nikhil, I
investment to
mean, I
be.
mean, it. See, your margins are completely, dependent on how much effort and time you're putting in a package. If you are doing a domestic package in within 24 hours and closing it, rather than spending 15 days on a Europe package and the stress of the visas and everything, so your margins are proportionate to that. So,
Okay.
when I talk about the percentages, if a Europe package is costing to a family for 10 lakhs and a Kerala package for 3 lakhs, I'm not going to compare the margin in terms of the value. It is the percentage.
Fair enough. Okay, got it. Thank you. Thank you, Sumit. Let's talk a little bit about doing things differently, as tour operators or as destinations, what you're seeing differently. So, let me get in, Mahinder here today first. What have you seen different in the market in the last 1 month, 2 months, or even what tour operators or your colleague or someone is doing that you said, hey, this is doing well and we should be doing this to actively sell or to better sell, or even what a destination is doing in India in the current.
So as I said, Nikhil, And I like this phrase a lot. And, situations like this do come across very often in this mad world that we live in. Geopolitical situation is going to be impacting us at one time or the other, in one destination or the other. But it's always not the end of the road. It's only a bend in the road. All we need to do is just sit back on the drawing table, think, recalibrate, and just look at alternate options. And that's what we have done here. The clients have been very happy when we have given them the options of, say, South Africa for that matter, which it was never in their mind. They did look at South Africa as a destination for a holiday this year. But when we told them the opportunity there, what are the possibilities there, what all they could do, and they were quite happy to lap it up and say, okay, that's good, let's go. Similar the case, Australia, New Zealand is more popular. It has been very popular all over. And fortunately, I'll be very happy to share New Zealand visa got it in less than 24 hours. Can you
Wow.
believe that? 24 hours turnaround. I mean, why would I not want to sell all my clients and bookings to New Zealand? I don't know. Like Sumit said, at the end of the day, you want less hassle, ease of operational issues, and a good margin. And that's what any destination which offers. Korea is picked up very well. Incidentally, a lot of children in our clients' family are BTS fans and K-pop, K-drama. That's driving the market. So we have to be aware of what the trend is in a particular destination and try and see how we can connect that to the client's requirement and shift them there. They
So
want to travel, they will travel.
anything else you've seen that stood out? So obviously New Zealand, you said 24-hour visa, really positive experience. I know Australia has done a sort of Good Day Australia campaign, which we've seen, or anything else you've seen in the market that you said, hey, this is good and this will help agents that someone might not
What
know about.
what I'm excited about is very soon, 15th of May onwards, we are getting a direct flight from Ahmedabad to Colombo, and that's going to open up Sri Lanka like crazy for us. 3.5 hours, a direct destination. All of us are super excited in the region here. Fitzer is starting with Cinnamon Hotel Group, and it's going to be a game changer.
Fantastic. That's a real positive story, and I'm glad,
It
I
is. It
think it will
is.
be very good. Okay, let me come to Manav. Manav, anything you're seeing in the Calcutta market that has been unique, it's been different, and you know, do we think like some of us need to, rethink the way we sell some of our travel products, focus a little bit more on insurance and what happens in a crisis situation because that's often ignored when we sell packages abroad at least.
Very true. But then, the aptitude of this market, whether it is east or from India outbound, the aptitude of this market is huge, huge. Over the years, we've seen number of agents multiplying. Why? Because it's not just that everybody think the travel agency is a very lucrative business. Because the interest and the results are far better than other industry. Uh, Coming back to what you checked is the sentiment of this here is just in the minds. Why? Because people are selling. It's not that people don't have work. People are selling. Agents have work. Rest of the world is open. People are flying to all those places, but they are the weight. The weight in the mind is killing more than the result. So they all are very curious to know why and when we can restart selling West Asia transit or as a destination. And I'm sure in times to come, keeping positivity would really help all of us to regain the strength back in the market for pan India. War is not a happy situation for anyone.
Manav, let me ask you, are you seeing more of, everywhere in the world, when you book a holiday, you look at the terms and conditions, you look at insurance, you look at crisis management, as Indians, a lot of us often ignore that part of the sort of booking place, right? Do you see that, as travel agents, we need to look and work with now suppliers we know and trust? We need to check what is the force majeure on a ticket, etc. Because agents get caught out on this all the time, and then the customer suffers at the end of the day.
Nikhil, the experienced travel agent already knows these tools and they are being doing these tools. And these tools would not be an added thing right now in this market. And believe you me, the agent is not without any work. The experienced agent has work. As rightly Mr. Balan said, every dip is an opportunity for other person. this dip is giving us an opportunity to get back to the old clients. Those old clients are calling us back, and I'm sure the agent fraternity to strong with each other. And I really appeal all the agent fraternity to stand together in this time and come out with a unique thing called service charge. If you see the dynamic of any success, Indian Railway is a success story where the number of footfall increases every year, multiply. They work on a service charge module. You book a ticket, there's a service charge. You change, there's a service charge. You cancel, there's a service charge. The airline and the outbound market, or even the inland market of travel agent fraternity in India, should come to a common service charge platform and advertise and advocate right now in this market, this scenario, that we will not work without service charges. So if this happens, this would be a game changer for this situation.
Thank you. So let me come back to Mr. Sriharan, and let's sort of pivot a little bit and let's talk about agents versus OTAs in a time of crisis. So I know you spoke a lot about, direct bookings, OTAs, people coming back to travel agents specifically around crisis. How important do you think is proactive communication by the agent? Even if it's a small mom and pop agency with even two people, how important do you think is that communication piece during a crisis with your customers to help them gain that confidence to come back to you more and more?
Okay, I'll just give you one idea which we implemented in all our branch offices and all our offices. It's called the housewife theory. It's a management theory. You know, the housewife theory is nothing but you've seen our moms, our grandparents. They do every work in the house. Correct. One day they fall sick. You will find the entire house in a mess up. You will not know where the stove is. You will not know where to do what to do. The entire house is a mess. That is how a travel agent should be for a passenger. See, we might tell them, sir, do the online check-in, sir, download this, sir. No. We have very clear instructions in all our offices. Even if it is a print of paper, it has to be delivered. Even if it is the smallest thing, it has to be done for him. Make him rely on you completely. And that is the level of service you need to compete with an OTA. OTA is trying to educate the passenger. See, I'm an IATA certified professional. I've written my IATA exams. I've done so much of destination certifications, and I understand how important educated travel consultants are near of the hour, rather a person trying to experiment with his holiday. That's my clients have tried it, have failed, have come back to us. So even they understand how important it is. At this point of time, we have to be that expert, make sure that we give that service to the client. When all of us would easily say we are at 24 hours, but practically it might not be possible. But I would say if you are able to do that, if you are able to give a 24-hour round the clock service, if you're able to provide services, we give a wake up call. This is an automated system in our office. Who's buying a ticket, they'll have an automatic call from our AI system that will call them and check 3 hours before they leave. There will be a call saying, have you left to the airport? It's all automated. See, today we can use technology for a lot of things where you have the personal touch. For us, it is a mandate in our office. When they clear check-in and everything, there is a staff who would call on real time and check, sir, how is it going, is it everything smooth? If we are having a VIP, we will inform the Airport Authority of India. We Because for a lot of cine stars, we handle their bookings and everything, so we know how important that level of service is. And when somebody tell me OTA would be a competition, I would never agree to it. It's never been a competition for us. It will never be a competition for us. It is only there to confuse people. I had a big argument with the Air Asia staff. We were actually, I was waiting for the Malaysian Airlines counter, and there was so much of commotion in Air Asia. And when I went and asked, every passenger had baggage issues. Every single passenger had baggage issues. When asked, they said, no, they didn't add the baggage. They didn't add the baggage. That's the problem. Now, AirAsia is a carrier that wants to go B2C. That is having full on B2C, and all these problems are there. While Malaysian Airlines as a full-fledged carrier has so much of IATA agents who are booking, and everything is going smooth. So I think OTA is never a competition, but it improves visibility, it improves thing. I think it is that phase again where travel agents are getting their business back. The only thing is we have to deliver what we promise. I think that we need to definitely do.
Perfect.
But
Thanks.
Nikhil, can I just add to what Mr. Balan says?
Please,
I have
please,
the
please.
similar mindset. OTAs help us to filter out our non-profitable business.
Good point. Good point. Thank you. Let me ask you something. Let me come to you, Manav. Now that you have added, let me ask you a question. around the OTAs and refunds, right? I've always felt agents giving refunds faster, giving credit notes faster to customers really helps build up that trust. And OTAs generally, you don't have to call, chase, call to get a refund. It comes, it doesn't come, and also so. So in a crisis like this, how important it is for the travel agent to be proactive with this communication, to be proactive with the refunds, to build that trust in the future again. But some travel agents hold back the credit, right? Some people hold back the money. So what would you tell these agents to go here, do here?
See, first of all, OTA is also a travel agent. It's an
Yeah,
online travel agent. So
of course.
automated travel agents, I would love to call them, are definitely they don't provide services. Why? Because for them, it is a machine which is responding to their client base. And whereas the personal connect based travel agents like Mr. Palan, Sumit, Oz, everybody, we are more into personal connect, human connect. Our clients, they appreciate for us to keep them, individualized for their travel needs rather than giving them an automated response that yes, sir, no, sir, or, dial 9, dial 10. The personal connect is very important in tourism industry. No matter how much AI comes into it, your personal connect will always give you an edge over all these OTAs. Yes, every challenging time, all the clients fall back to the conventional travel agents, but OTA is again for the wider market where people would not want to spend time or learn about a product. They just want to travel a point to point. I want to travel to Delhi or I want to travel to Dubai. They'll just go on the platform, buy the ticket. So that is why I intervened and said OTA helps us to filter out the non-profitable business. And the conventional travel agent is happier having human connect, getting back their own sentiments of the client, which was lost probably due to the price margin in online platforms. And this situation, refund held by the orthodox agent is absolutely zero because they are assisting the client base, they are refunding all the money, they are cooperating. OTAs, again, they are such a huge volume number game. Till the time they reach out to the actual source to get their money refunded, a very animosity comes into it. As somebody becomes angry upon, oh, how long do I need to wait to get my money while paying? I paid it instantly through a credit card or something. So a personal connect is very important, which these OTS do not find. Many of the agents who are trying to hold back the refund or the adjustments, here the role of agency association, sorry, come into factor because the association, if they get any complaint like this, they definitely reach out to the agent and tell them, hello, you should not be doing this. It's not human to do this at this current time. Try to adjust the client and do that, and the results have come. So
Perfect.
I don't would not recommend any agent to do an unlawful thing by holding on if the airline is refunding the money.
Perfect. Thank you. Let me come to Mr. Vakharia here. And this is a very, one of my favorite questions of this whole. How are you going on about fighting with or actually countering WhatsApp University? Because, customers get the forward information, this has happened, X, Y, Z happened. How do you, where do you get reliable information during a crisis? How do you pacify a customer this is not happening? Because there's a lot of, like I say, fake information or WhatsApp information out there, which you have to counter, specifically your clients.
So very important point, Nikhil, very true. Unfortunately, whether we like it or not, all of us are bombarded with this WhatsApp University forwarded messages without any logic, without any understanding, or without any authentication. And so is, many clients come up with their AI created itineraries, which completely is ridiculous sometimes that we've seen, because it's giving him something which he is not going to be comfortable doing it because the AI does not know the client. I know the client. I know his family. I know his background. I know his lifestyle. And that's where we come into a picture. To answer your question, the way we counter them when they come with these kind of non-authenticated story or a message, we are constantly in touch with the ground partners in the destination. We are constantly in touch with the hotels. The airlines are giving updates on a time-to-time basis. So through and through, it's a complete handholding. It's not now. That's a style of business that we've been doing over years now, and that's what we are famous for. Complete handholding till they come back to India or come back home. And when we get this authenticated information from our partners on the ground is when we are able to give that message to the client very confidently that, look, whatever the message you have, the reality is this, and this is what we've got verified from a partner there. And so I'm suggesting it should not be an issue if you have to look at that particular hotel or a destination.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Vakar. Sumit, let me talk to you a little bit about foreign exchange. And like the dollar has strengthened a lot against the rupee has slid a lot. And this becomes a long-term risk, right? You sell something 6 months ago, and 2 months of travel comes in, that's 10% more expensive. How are you? And during these times, it's especially more volatile. Banks can take longer time to send money. Or how are you handling that FX risk in your business, which can be considerable as well?
See, Nikhil, that was always the case. I mean, this is not just with the war that we are facing these issues. Yes, the shift may be more in terms of the percentage change in the dollar prices, but we kind of again used to this of the increasing dollar prices forever. You know, so at times when we booked in advance and we have not forwarded the payments and suddenly closer to date you are making payments at 2 rupees or 3 rupees higher exchange rates, you have to bear that cost. That is part and parcel of this business. We've seen it otherwise as well. So we need to absorb that difference, and we are not passing it to our any of our clients for that matter. Yes, also when it comes to certain destinations where we are booking hotels with the B2B OTAs, therein that issue does not arise, because once you block the hotels at a INR price, that doesn't change. But yes, we have been facing that issue recently, and I mean even yesterday we've done some remittances with a higher cost than what we had anticipated. But I think we don't look into that into much deeper concern. It's part and parcel, so we absorb that. So that's how
Perfect.
we're looking into that.
So I've got a couple of quick, before we end off, I've got a couple of quick one-word answers, and I'm going to sort of shoot one by one on all of you a couple of questions. No long answers, just quick. So let me start with Shriharan first. Shriharan, will 2026 come back with a bang in revenge tourism post this whole crisis like you had in 2022, or possibly when market opened up and all? Yes or no?
No,
No.
there
Okay.
will not be.
There will
There
not
will
be
be.
a big
We will have the effects this year, but next year definitely the revenge tourism will happen.
Perfect. Fantastic. Let me ask Mahinder this. Mahinder, top destination of 2026 that you're selling, that you're going to promote this year?
For us, definitely Japan.
Japan. Okay. Manav, let me get to you. Which airline do you think will recover first? Which Middle Eastern airline do you think you will recover first, and which will you promote first amongst all your clients?
Has to be Emirates because of the network.
Okay, fantastic. And Sumit, over to you. Do you think summer holidays 2026, so now it's coming up in May, June, July, do you think it'll be as successful as last year? Bearing in mind there was Operation Sindoor last year. So they both had a little
It's
bit
gonna
of
be better. It's gonna be better. Definitely.
fantastic. Okay, we got another last couple of questions as well. I want to touch base with you. Mahinder, let me start with you. One thing that you think will help revive demand faster for West Asia, for Middle East, what can destinations do? What can tour operators do to get the demand faster, to come back faster once situation normalizes?
See, Middle East right now will be a bit tricky. Honestly, how much ever we are confident, we are more optimistic, we want to push it and promote it, but it's the news is very viral and it's not going to subside anytime soon the way it's progressing. So Middle East, to my mind, is not going to be happening for the next few months. Even if they open up, clients are not going to be very comfortable traveling there. In any case, you have to keep in mind the weather condition also. Traditionally, summer months, Middle East is not a destination which Indian travelers are preferring. So, considering all the combination of weather, the political situation that's there and uncertainty about it, I do not foresee it happening for the next few months at least. I personally believe Middle East will come back with a bang in October onwards, October, November onwards.
Fantastic. Manav, let me quickly ask you one out of this crisis, what have we learned? And one step we need to make together as an industry body, association, or an industry, we need to change. But what have we learned from this crisis?
Unfortunately, our industry doesn't learn anything. To be very brutal, what we should learn is unity. If we would be as an agent fraternity be united, such dips will not hindrance us in a longer run. Airline would also listen to us, so we are not united. So unfortunately, time and again, whether it is COVID or whether it's war, we don't learn. We are very short-lived sentiment. We try to say yes, we are united now, let's stand together, but in a longer run again the divide comes in.
So unity being the big takeaway. Good point. Shriharan, Mr. Optimism, one opportunity in front of all tour operators today that they should not miss.
Australia, New Zealand, Far East, definitely go ahead with it. It's going to be the only source of income for the next 6 months. So please focus on these destinations. And definitely, if you haven't done inbound, please try inbound because I'm handling passengers from Australia. Good money. So definitely, inbound and Far East, Australia, New Zealand, definitely the source of income for the next 6 months.
Fantastic. Sumit, one trend that you think will start in the next 6 months? Any new trends are coming up? Any new things you think are going to come up that are going to define the next 6 months for us?
Well, one trend is that travel agents are going to get more business from the people who are booking directly. That is definitely going to come up. And another thing which is going to come up again, safer, sustainable destinations are going to be the pick. And Australia and New Zealand are considered the safest. I would totally agree on that. So look into that. And sustainable tourism is definitely now going to pick up. People are going to avoid crowded cities and unsafe cities. Safety is going to be a priority for the time being.
Fantastic. All right. And finally, look, thank you very much, everyone. I think that was a great session. Any final comments by anyone? Anything anyone would like to add? I might not have come to you for all the topics, but if you want to add anything, please, now is the time and we'll make sure we cut into the video for this. Anything to add, anyone?
I just want to add one thing because what Mr. Palan said for West Asia, for my personal reading, 2026 will be revival for West Asia, definitely. Because the sentiment of all the travelers, especially Indian travelers, is very short-lived. And probably the MICE, which is totally down, the MICE movement, leisure group movement, leisure traffic is happening, but the MICE from outbound India is totally down right now. So the moment West Asia opens up and there is peace and people finding, I'm sure the tourism boards will all, leave no stone unturned to give the sentiment a positive thrust and everything. And MICE would be able to revive faster for these destinations rather than any other leisure market. So I really see that 2026, the third quarter would see revival of West Asia.
Fantastic. All right. First and foremost, thank you very much for being here today.